President Donald Trump signs a trade agreement with the United Kingdom's Prime Minister Kier Starmer before heading home to address the growing escalation between Israel and Iran. And here at home, Democrat officials rage that no one's really paying attention to them. I'm Tony Kinnett, host of the Daily Signal's Tony Kinnett Cast, syndicated nationally at 7 p.m. Eastern. It is Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. This is the Daily Signal's top news in 10. At the G7 conference just outside of Calgary in Alberta, Canada, President Trump and UK Prime Minister Kier Starmer signed the official agreement ending the trade hostilities between the United States and the United Kingdom.
We have our trade agreement with the European Union, and it's a fair deal for both. Going to produce a lot of jobs, a lot of income, and we have many other ones coming. But you see the level of enthusiasm is very good. But the relationship that we have is fantastic. So I just want to congratulate you.
Well, Donald, thank you very much. This now implements on car tariffs and aerospace, our really important agreement. And so this is a very good day for both of our countries, a real sign of strength. So thank you again, Donald. A really important day for both of us.
Great people.
This trade deal includes $6 billion in new tariff revenue, $5 billion in new exports from the United States into the UK market, U.S. tariffs on UK imports raised to 10%, and UK tariffs on U.S. imports lowered to 1.8%. Some of these tariffs depend on the market sector. For example, steel and aluminum tariffs are set based upon quotas, pharmaceuticals are more built upon certain supply chain requirements, and then, of course, the access to the UK market now includes things like ethanol, beef, cereals, fruits, vegetables, animal feed, tobacco, soft drinks, shellfish, textiles, chemicals, machinery, etc. Then Trump's visit at the G7 was cut a little bit short after he announced he would be leaving back to the United States, and the chairs at the National Security Council be prepared in the Situation Room. Secretary of State and National Security Advisor acting Marco Rubio joined President Trump on the trip home to the White House. President Trump did send out a post on Truth Social yesterday evening saying, quote, "Iran should have signed the deal I told them to sign. What a shame and a waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I said it over and over again. Everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran." What followed was a very serious traffic jam of cars leaving the capital city of Iran. Everyone online began furiously tracking military ship and plane movements and all other accoutrements of the online speculation machine. Then, just a few hours later, CBS reported that the United States would not be joining Israel offensively in its military operation. And then CNN and Axios reported that the Trump team has proposed Iranian talks this week using Steve Witkoff on nuclear deals and a ceasefire. Whether or not these things come to pass is very difficult to say, considering that the tension in the global stage is certainly increasing. The escalation between Israel and Iran continues as Iran moves to launch as many ballistic missiles as possible. No one yet quite sure how many ballistic missiles Iran actually has to fire, and Israel continues flying unchallenged sorties over the Iranian sky, bombing several targets, including military structures, nuclear facilities, and key infrastructure points like the Iranian state TV, which was struck yesterday in the middle of an Iranian state broadcast. Check it out. Whether or not the pride of the Ayatollah regime will allow this Iranian administration to effectively negotiate with the Trump team, or whether or not there will be any place for negotiations in the first place, is the key question. And this was answered last night by Director of the Allison Center for National Security at the Heritage Foundation, Rob Greenway. Check it out.
It's very difficult to envision circumstances in which we could arrive at a satisfactory diplomatic outcome with a regime like this one. They are committed to the destruction of Israel and of the United States, and so that motive is not going to go anywhere. That means that we have to affect the means and opportunity to use the nuclear weapons programs, terrorism, and ballistic missile inventory and drones they've developed. There is proven no way to do that diplomatically, and again, the structures in place during the JCPOA and the Non-Proliferation Treaty have proven grossly insufficient to deal with this problem. Right now, we have a window of opportunity to act that Israel is allowed. If we support in a system fully, I think we could get to total dismantlement and Iran incapable, as the president required, of developing a nuclear weapon. We should take full advantage of it while the time presents itself.
Given the immense scale of destruction from infrastructure to blown up F-14s on the runway, all the way over to the incredible loss at the general staff level by the Iranian regime at the hands of the Israeli Defense Force, I think Greenway's quip is particularly pertinent here. Quote, President Trump was right to observe in 2016 that Iran never won a war but never lost a negotiation. As it stands today, they've now managed to lose both. While certain factions on the Republican side of the aisle are engaged in a fierce debate over Israel and Iran and the scale of U.S. involvement, if any at all, the Democrats, which are still in office in the United States in some places, are struggling over the lack of news cycle focus on the Trump administration and the No Kings protests and Senator Alex Padilla of California. Senator Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, issued a series of videos yesterday, you probably didn't see them, complaining about everything from Senator Mike Lee of Utah's response to the Minnesota shooting all the way to Senator Alex Padilla being stopped by Secret Service and temporarily detained after he tried to approach Secretary Kristi Noem giving a press conference while he wasn't wearing his security pin or any identification.
Department of Homeland Security Secretary Noem was so derelict in her responsibilities this weekend. After Senator Padilla was manhandled, thrown to the ground, handcuffed, she lied about it. Nor has she said what action she's taken to correct it or apologize to Senator Padilla. She is just derelict in her responsibilities as Secretary of Homeland Security.
Meanwhile, New York Attorney General Letitia James is probing local police departments and law enforcement officials for misconduct for working with the Trump administration and federal officials like Immigration Customs Enforcement. According to the exclusive from the New York Post, the Attorney General's office asked Oswego County Sheriff Don Hilton for documents outlining any cooperation between local law enforcement officials and federal agencies, including Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Customs and Border Protection, and Homeland Security. A letter from the office asked Oswego County Sheriff Don Hilton to turn over any agreements between the office and any federal agency, quote, concerning the enforcement of federal immigration law, quote. It also asks for documentation about cops receiving training on enforcing federal immigration. Here's where things get a little weird. The letter cited a section of state law on official misconduct and suggested that working with federal enforcement at all against the wishes of the state attorney general's office qualifies as misconduct under New York Executive Law Section 75(3). While New York State is technically under an executive order signed by then-Governor Andrew Cuomo in 2017 and continued by Governor Kathy Hochul that restricts and or bars law enforcement from aiding and investigating, arresting, or deporting illegal immigrants, it is in fact not within the power of the New York Attorney General's office to restrict local polities from working with federal officials, especially concerning a matter that involves upholding federal law inside New York localities. Before you go, head down to the description and make sure you're subscribed to the Tony Kinnett. And join us tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we dig into the day's news with a bit of analysis and commentary, along with a couple of really great interviews. I'm Tony Kinnett, and this has been the Daily Signal's Top News in 10. Take care.